Welcome to Alistair Davies Golf. Today I want to talk to you about wrist cock. So I get a lot of questions, and this is actually a viewer's question, about when I should break my wrist in the backswing. So essentially there's a kind of zone I'd work in to break your wrist, but there is probably no right answer. We'll see players that will break the wrist very late, and we'll see players that break the wrist very early, and both be very successful. So there's no real then evidence to say that one is better than the others. I have a preference, which I'll talk you through now, but essentially you can do either way and be very successful. You will see a different pattern of movement with either method. So the method I like to see is essentially when the club goes back, the wrist will break fairly early in the journey, and it'll break between something like your right thigh and your rib cage. So it'll break in this journey. Then that position will be maintained, and the turn will finish the swing off. You will see some players that will be very late wrist cockers, and you'll see this kind of transition move into the downswing, and you'll see this kind of float loading pattern that we'll see, and driving action into the golf ball. Whereas the people who tend to set the wrist early, you'll see more control with the body. So the people who set the wrist earlier, I tend to feel will have more consistency in ball striking and flight control. Whereas the people who tend to set it later will have more of a laggier action in that transition, and the change of direction sometimes can be a bit more inconsistent. Both ways can be very successful. So let's just go through that again slowly. So as the club moves back, the wrist will cock. Imagine this shaft full of water. The water will run out the shaft, and it'll go somewhere on the ground, round about your right foot, and it'll happen somewhere just past your thigh and your rib cage, this kind of zone here. That's where I'd like to see it, and then I'd see then the turn, take the club to the top. So that would be my ideal preference, rather than something that would break very, very late. Okay, let's hit a golf ball so you can see where my wrists actually break. So just nice and slowly here now. And I'll also add in a slow motion swing of mine, just so we can look at the wrist cock when it happens.